Good morning, baseball. It is your boy NMR Sports here, coming back at you with another episode of Good Morning Baseball, joined by my co-host, Mr. Frank Helmstetter. How are we doing today, Frank? It is the morning of 6/20, June 20th. It is a beautiful sunny morning. As you can see by Frank, it's clearly morning time, right? Right, buddy?
Absolutely, yes. It is always morning when we film this. And I'm doing great, man. Got a lot of good stuff to talk about today. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. Yeah, these Sundays are going to be really nice because the games end nice and early. We got time to think about stuff. We don't have to, throw it all together last minute. But that's the joy, that's the beauty of daily MLB content. There's always something new to talk about. And, yeah, without further ado, before we get into the video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below if you do enjoy daily MLB content. We'll be doing these Good Morning Baseball videos every single day for you guys, as well as my usual MLB content and Angels Pain content. If you guys like Angels Pain or daily MLB content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and leave a like on the video for us. Help this reach as many baseball fans as possible. And without further ado, let's get into our first order of business. And I promise we're not going to talk about the Angels every day, but when the greatest player of all time, or the greatest player of our generation, I don't like to say all time because there's a debate to be had, but of our generation, there's not much of a debate to be had. Michael Nelson Trout, first player in MLB history to hit 4 game-winning home runs in a single series. Now, it helps that it was a 5-game series out in Seattle, where Frank is actually currently living at the moment, so could have gone to some of the games, but I guess he's a fake fan. He can't even name one of Mike Trout's biggest songs. So, Mike Trout, absolutely dominant. It was Father's Day. He gave himself a Father's Day present. Obviously, he is a legitimate father, and he's also the father of the Seattle Mariners franchise. So, my question for you, Frank, will the Angels, or should the Angels, be buyers or sellers come trade deadline? What do you think?
Well, it's hard to say not buyers because the thing is like we've seen what this team can do, man. Like we've seen when we're healthy, if we have a full squad that's actually, a good third baseman, not, I don't know, Tyler Wade, but not Tyler Wade at third base, something like that. I think we are, have a lot of potential. And again, we talked about this yesterday, but this 2, 3, 4 spot, potential wild card race is not out of reach yet at all for us. So I think filling that hole and getting a few good bullpen arms could really help us out here. So I really don't want to say I really don't want to dump our players yet. I think we still have a chance to fight for this wild card spot.
Yeah, currently the Angels are 4.5 out of the wild card spot, as well as 9.5 out of the division, and they actually retook second place on this 4 out of 5 win series against the Mariners, and they got a pretty easy schedule coming up, so that hopefully will factor into it. They definitely have some holes to fill, and they got even bigger with the news of Mr. Anthony Rendon. Got his jersey right here. Mr. Anthony Rendon being out for the season, so they have a big hole at third base. They got possibly a hole at starting pitcher. I honestly think if we're going to fill a hole, I want third base filled, as well as we need some bullpen help for sure. There's a lot of good bullpen arms out there. But who knows, man? If we go on another streak like we did, with a 14-game losing streak, or lose 18 out of 20 like we just did, I would not be opposed to selling, trying to get some help for our farm system, because we do have one of the weaker farm systems in the league. So we'll have to see. If Mike Trout could just, hit 5 home runs every series, that would, if he really wants to make the playoffs, if he really is the greatest of all time, why does he strike out? Why doesn't he just hit a home run every at-bat? It's that simple, my guy. Just hit it over the wall.
Make it 7 home runs at a series. Come on, man.
Exactly. It's all on him, man. Just put the team on your back, hit 4 home runs a game, and then we will just make the playoffs. It'll be perfect. Honestly, maybe Mike Trout could just... Issues. Yeah, right. Maybe he could just go out there by himself for the next, 100 games or so. Now, going off the Angels and talking about a team that we've neglected for our first couple of episodes, but we can't neglect a team that just took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, and that is the Cleveland Guardians. Now, the Cleveland Guardians, I disrespected them coming into the season, but they have been on a ridiculously hot stretch as of late. They have won 7 straight series, including wins against the Tigers, not super impressive. The Royals as well. The Orioles are a little bit better than people give them credit for. The Rangers a little bit better. A's, Rockies, and Dodgers. Now, 7 straight series wins. I don't care who it's against. That is still pretty impressive. Every team's going to stumble. I think the Yankees lost the series to the Orioles early in the year. It's not an automatic win. So the fact that the Guardians have been able to win these winnable games, and they just took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers, do you think that they have a legitimate shot at being a competitive team come September? Like they'll be competing for a wild card or a division title?
Man, that's really hard to say at this current time. I think with the way they're playing, though, if they can keep this up, because as you said, some people might have knocked them as, oh, this is a fluke series. They're playing an easier team. But to win 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers is not a small feat. A team that's definitely favored to win the division, especially about stuff we'll talk about later. But yeah, man, I think I could see them being competitive. This AL Central division is actually kind of close. I definitely think people probably favor the Twins in this first place spot at this current time. They're only a game back, and so in the division at the moment, it's not too far off, and the White Sox are dipping down there as well. So it will definitely be a push, more likely for a wild card spot, if anything. But it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely a 3-team race at the moment. The Tigers and the Royals pretty far out, both double-digit games, but the White Sox, Guardians, and Twins are all playing, I feel like the Guardians and the Twins are playing above what we expected, above expectations, while the White Sox are playing so far below expectations. So it'll be interesting to see how this shakes up. I could honestly see any of those 3 teams winning the division at this point, but I am very surprised about the Guardians. I didn't think the Guardians had the offense to do it, but honestly, their offense has been carrying the team. The rotation has not been as advertised, but the bullpen has been fantastic. Emmanuel Clase, one of the most underrated relievers in all of baseball, just a dominant closer back there. And the Guardians, they make some really good trades as well. So if you're doing some deals with the Guardians this trade deadline, you better watch out. They get some very good players for very, very cheap as well. And they always seem to have some good pitchers in their system too. So they'll probably just call up the next Shane Bieber and, he'll be at the top of the rotation come playoff time. So good for the Guardians, man. Good for the Guardians. They have, I think, the 5th lowest payroll in all of baseball. They pay just about Mike Trout's salary for their entire roster. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a little higher because they did sign J-Ram this offseason to a big extension. So, good for them finally giving out a big contract, but very conservative with their money there. Paul Dolan, not the best owner.
It's definitely very interesting to see, and I'm excited to see what happens. I'm rooting for them. I don't really have any stake in this division personally, for any bias. So yeah, if they can do it, by all means, that would be awesome to see.
Yeah, first season with the Guardians name too. Guardians could be 1-for-1 in the playoffs. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. Well, moving from the AL Central and over to the NL Central, talking about a guy who, I'll be honest, I haven't really heard of before in my life. Apparently his first name's Jack. I forgot to write it down, but thanks for letting me know. Jack Sawinski. On Father's Day with his dad in the audience watching him, 3 for 3 with 3 home runs, including a walk-off home run off Giants reliever Taylor Rogers, one of the better relievers in the game. He's having a little bit of a rough season, but still a very impressive feat by Mr. Sawinski. Now the Pirates, honestly, I've been a little bit surprised with how good they've been playing this year, and it's kind of weird to say that about a third-place team that's nowhere near contending for the division, but this is a team that a lot of people thought could be the worst team in baseball this year. Now, I was a little bit more optimistic about them with some of the guys, but when I heard the news of the next guy we're going to talk about, O'Neal Cruz not starting the year in the majors, that's when I was kind of like, okay, this Pirates team is just punting this season. They want the highest chance of getting the first overall pick next year. But O'Neal Cruz announced yesterday, O'Neal Cruz will be called up to the major league roster, so that is a huge addition for this team. So my question now is, will the Pirates be a competitive team? Like what is their window? They've got a lot of young talent right now. I'll go through their top few prospects. They got some really noteworthy guys. Their number 1 overall prospect, Nick Gonzalez, his estimated time of arrival is this year, so he should be up pretty soon. Henry Davis, the first overall pick, was a catcher last year. He should be up in the next 3 years. O'Neal Cruz making his, not his debut. I think he played a few games in September last season, but he should be up on the roster soon. Quinn Priester is a stud. He's been killing it in the minors. He should be up soon. Ronzi Contreras, Andy Rodriguez. They've got a lot of good guys at the top of their farm system to build around guys like Brian Reynolds, Ke'Bryan Hayes already on the major league roster. Their pitching has been a little bit better than we've expected already, but they're finally going to have a good core of young guys coming up on this squad. And I honestly think within the next 2 or 3 years, I think I could see this team competing for the top of the division right now. I think the Cubs are in for a little bit of a lengthy rebuild. The Reds are nowhere near being a competitive team. The Cardinals are going to be a force for the next couple of years, but they do have some older guys in Paul Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado. And then the Brewers, I don't know what the hell's going on with them. They've got a great pitching staff, but no foreseeable future. I think the Pirates are actually possibly in the best situation right now to be a competitive team come 2023, 2024, and beyond. So I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, man. With all those prospects you're mentioning there, I definitely want to take a deeper dive into this. I'm definitely kind of become pretty interested with this squad and this system here. So if all of those guys really pan out and these prospects are playing to the caliber in the big leagues when they get called up that they're playing in the minors, this team could definitely be a force to be reckoned with in the next couple of years. So don't sleep on Pittsburgh, man. And this O'Neal Cruz guy, man. The one thing I'll say is I think with some of these guys, it is pretty. He's huge, 6'7", 220.
Oh, he's massive,
shortstop.
dude. For shortstop,
the only thing I think about with those players is are they injury prone? So warning like.
Ke'Bryan Hayes has already proved he's Ke'Bryan Hayes is the Anthony Rendon of the National League, and he's only like 25 or something like that.
Absolutely. Young squad there, so, it'll be really exciting to watch them over the next few years for sure.
Yeah, I'm really excited. And they do have some good pieces right now that I think are going to be heading out of Pittsburgh at the trade deadline. Guys like David Bednar has been one of the better relievers in all of baseball this season. And he has a couple of years of control left, so I think they're going to have some pretty good trade hauls. They already had a very good trade haul from the Padres earlier with the Joe Musgrove trade last offseason. The 2020 offseason to 2021. That was a big trade. They had another trade involving... Oh, no, that was a 3-team trade, sorry, for the Joe Musgrove, because they got somebody over from the Mets, too. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they've done a pretty good job of rebuilding this farm system. I know it's... you don't like to see a team struggle like this for so many years, like it feels like the Pirates have. But I like to see that they have all these young guys coming up, and I do think they're going to be a competitive team in the next couple of years, which would be great for Pirates fans who haven't really had much to cheer for the last couple of years.
For real.
Okay, and then over to the AL East with the Toronto Blue Jays squaring off against the New York Yankees for the third game of that series. The Yankees have made the Blue Jays their little brother in the AL East this season, but... yesterday, they had some fight in them. They had some fight. The little brother conquered in this one. Lots of home runs. Lots of home runs. It's what you're going to get when you have a team like the Blue Jays facing a team like the Yankees. We had a grand slam from Lourdes Gurriel Jr. We had a 3-run home run from Teoscar Hernandez. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. started off with a 2-run homer. The Blue Jays, despite being, one of the better teams in the American League still, as far as standings go, I believe they are... Yeah, they're solidly in the wild card. They have a 2-game lead over the wild card spot at the moment. But they are 11 games back in the division. So this is a team that a lot of people predicted to win the World Series this year with how good their rotation looked on paper, how good the lineup looked on paper, the defense and everything. They had a little bit of a rough patch there towards the middle of the first half. But are the Toronto Blue Jays back?
Man, I think it's definitely hard to say. I mean, that game was definitely very exciting to watch. Very close call there, especially towards the end. The Yankees almost came back again with Rizzo on with 2 people on and 2 outs, I believe. And then the Blue Jays managed to close it out. So it was a very close game regardless. And it's just hard to say that, at least in the division leader spot, to have the Blue Jays come back from an 11 games back with the way the Yankees are playing currently. They lost a game, but they're 49-17. So this squad is just impeccable. So in terms of the division, it seems kind of, potentially out of reach. I mean, these Yankees have just been playing so well, but wild card wise, man, yeah, I mean, if they could keep this momentum up, this team obviously on paper, if they can transfer that, paper look to the field as they have been doing recently, I think absolutely this team is a candidate to win this wild card spot. So absolutely.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I think that my biggest concerns with them heading into the year were their bullpen and the depth of this team. I don't think it has a lot of depth. It has a great lineup, 1 through 9 to start the season. But, if a guy like George Springer, who's been injury prone his whole career, goes down, we already saw Teoscar Hernandez have a little bit of an injury stint earlier this year. God forbid Vladimir Guerrero Jr. goes down. That could be a big blow to this team, and I don't know if they'll be able to hit themselves, deep into the postseason if they don't have a good bullpen to back themselves up. So, now, moving on from that, our final topic of the day, the San Diego Padres have been red hot this season, up and down out of first place this year, definitely contending with the Dodgers for first place. But the biggest reason for that has been Manny Machado having an MVP caliber season. Well, yesterday, Frank will put the clip up here on the screen. Manny Machado running over to first base had a very, very scary moment. It looked like he rolled his ankle a little bit. It wasn't a great angle, the one I saw at least. Kind of looked like he almost snapped his ankle. It was a very scary moment, and I'm sure every Padres fan was holding their breath. It did come out that the x-rays were negative. He didn't break his ankle. Nothing's broken or anything. It's just a bad sprain, they're saying. So we're not sure how long he's going to be out, but without Manny Machado, I know Tatis has prolonged his absence for a little bit. He should be coming back fairly soon, just not as soon as they had hoped. Without Machado and without Tatis, is this Padres team in trouble? Are their playoff hopes, dwindling after this minor injury to Manny Machado? What do you think?
Well, it's hard to say that doesn't serve as a huge blow to this Padres squad. Someone with, the highest WRC plus on the team, someone that definitely is an active contributor to the team and the entire fan base, definitely a huge blow. But at the same time, I think this squad is a strong one. I think that they definitely have the capacity to continue to play well enough to grab a wild card spot. But they are close in this division, and honestly, we've talked about this before, but with the way the Dodgers play and their roster and how they look on paper, for instance, I think they should be a lot better of a team, have a lot more wins. At least that's just my, perspective on it.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But so I think, you can never rule out the Padres this year, and I'm definitely pulling for them. I think it would be super interesting to see San Diego take that spot. So, yeah, man, it's definitely super sad to see. I'm really just glad that those x-rays came back negative, because you'll see in the clip that we post here, but this does not look good at all. So
yeah, it's one of the, I remember a few years back, Bryce Harper had a similar one, but it was with his knee. He kind of slipped off the bag and hyperextended his knee. That run to first base, man, it's a deadly one. It's a deadly one. I know they've talked about in labor negotiations about making the first base bag bigger, or maybe doing like what softball does with a inside bag for the runner to tag, so there's less collisions and whatnot. It's definitely scary, especially when a guy could happen to anyone. It just happened to happen to the hardest player on the team because he's trying so hard every time. With the Padres, I think they'll be okay. AJ Preller, especially their GM, he loves making trades. He loves, finding diamonds in the rough. They got Robinson Cano in their farm system. So who knows, maybe Robinson Cano comes up and hits a few home runs for him. But the way AJ Preller works, I would expect to see, Luis Castillo and Brandon Drury, who I want on the Angels. I could expect them on the Padres tomorrow with the way AJ Preller works. So I'm not super worried about them, especially if Tatis is able to come back. I think that could be huge for them as well. So I'm pulling for the Padres too. Nobody wants to see the Dodgers. Get the Dodgers out of here, man. We've had enough. We've had enough of the Dodgers dominating this division. Last year we got a nice little treat with the Giants winning it. This year I'm pulling for the Padres. Hopefully they can win that NL West division. All right, well, I think that is going to conclude this episode of Good Morning Baseball. Don't forget to let us know down in the comments what you think of yesterday's events. Do you think the Padres can win the NL West? Are the Angels going to be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline? And will the Cleveland Guardians make the playoffs? Who knows? So thanks again so much for watching, everybody. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below for daily MLB content. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Y'all have a great rest of your day.